This would be Tuesday, January 6th, beginning the second semester, and we're going to get into Fables. Let's see, information up there, blah. Should have crossed out your old table of contents. You should be on the third table of contents. You put in Fable notes. We are now, Fable notes there, done with short stories, and we're done with the Shadow Club novel. We're done with poetry. We're moving on to a couple other things. Three things we're going to be hitting here coming up in the next week or so. One, Fables, which are really, really short stories. They're like 3 paragraphs long, sometimes 1 paragraph long. And we'll get into fables and information about them. 2, we're going to start our next book report next week. So we'll get into that. It'll be a different book report than we've done the other time. So if you have a book, then make sure you bring it in next week. And then more excitingly, speeches. This is the time that we get the joy of speeches, so we'll get a chance to get into there. I understand your excitement.
Like, Mr. Brovicast, I like talking all the time and losing points. This is like talking and not losing points.
Very similar to that. On the other hand, I know many of you freak out the idea of giving a speech and the fact that if you have to stand up and talk, you're probably going to pass out in front of everyone. So we're going to baby step into this to try and make it as painless as possible. 1, the good news, your first speech is next week. So we're going to get into that right away. We don't want to waste time getting to the excitement. And 2, your first speech is easy. It's just you standing in front of the room and talking and not passing out at the same time. And so we're going to sort of baby it, not even for a grade. It's just you up there. For some of you, it might just be you standing, because you standing and talking might be too much. And so it's be you just going like this.
Not passing out, not passing out, not passing out.
You're like, woohoo, you didn't die. And then we'll eventually move you up to like being able to not die and talk. Eventually we'll move you all the way to like giving rocking good speeches. Oh, one more small thing, because the whole idea of passing out is kind of scary because there's lots of hard stuff. So when you pass out, you're going to bounce off them. So to add more fun to it, all speeches in my class are done standing on a chair. So you bring a chair over and you stand on top of it. Honestly, that's more fun for the audience, because when you fall, it adds like another 2 feet if you like to hit things on the way down.
Could you like record it?
And so hopefully that'll help things out just a wee bit. And so next week we'll have our first speeches with people standing on chairs and hopefully not passing out and stuff like that.
Has anyone ever passed out before?
Of course they have. Have they gotten seriously hurt? Of course, mostly not. Usually people move to try and help you out when they see you falling. If not, then you just hope the carpet is really padded. You'll be fine. And remember, when you bounce, it's the second bounce that hurts more. All right, and then back to here. Zach?
So, okay, Miss Waters told us today don't pull chairs out from under people.
Yeah, that's probably good advice.
Because there's like cement under the carpet.
Yeah, that's how ground works. Yeah, so probably should hit. It's even worse when you're standing even higher up in the air and you fall from like 8 feet up and then bounce.
Wait, what?
Right. With the Fable notes, I set up my notes in a little T-chart thing, so it has like a little thing here, and I'm going to have like topics. You can do your notes as long as all the information gets from here and then through your brain and out the arm and then onto the paper, then I'm good at that. Fables. A long time ago, this is like thousands of years ago, kids were stupid. I know.
Mr. Brovicast, they're still stupid.
Different kind of stupid. We didn't have school at all. Kids were just allowed to just grow up and be dumb and just run around all over the place. The problem with kids that are stupid is they do stupid things. And so you would see kids running around playing with each other, like having big rocks and just running over to their friends with the big rock and just going whack and hitting each other in the head, like that, and they'd fall down. And the old people would be like, hey, why did you just hit that kid with a big rock? And they're like, whack. I don't know, it was fun to do, like you just killed that kid too, like whack, I know, that's what I do. And so the old people realized we have to educate the children so they don't go around hitting each other in the head with large rocks. The problem is, kids don't like being educated. They naturally resist it. When old people are like, hey, let me tell you what to do, the kids went, blah, 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 old person, and did their best to tune them out. So we had to trick them into learning. And that's where fables come in. Fables are short stories that we use to teach you something. Usually it's about how not to hit your friend in the head with a rock, or why you should not run with scissors pointed straight up, or why you should not jump off of cliffs without a parachute. Something where it's going to make you a smarter person so that you don't die. And so that's where fables come in. There are 3 types of fables that we're going to get into. The first one is the one that's been around for the longest period of time. It's the one, Zach? No, but a good guess. It's actually called traditional. And the traditional fable, coming back to the word tradition that we studied last year being December, because we're dealing with one fact. We talked about that one story about the stoning. Oh yeah, you don't have rocks. The lottery and stuff like that. It was the same idea. Tradition means from a long time ago. Pretty much any fable you can think of is going to end up being a traditional fable.
Mr. Brovicast, I can't think of any fables.
Well then see, all the ones you thought of are traditional. Problem solved. I'll give you an example. The one that most kids will recognize as a fable is the one about the hare and the tortoise. And so if you've never heard the story of the hare and the tortoise, I'll give you the quick version.
I know.
We have a forest, and we have a rabbit, and you have a turtle. And apparently they start talking smack to each other about who's faster. And the hare's like, seriously, I'm a rabbit, you're a turtle. I could cough faster than you could run. And the turtle's like, bring it. So they decide to have a race, and so they set up in the little woods, and they bring over like the owl, because what else is an owl going to do? An owl comes over to like start the race. Like owl's like, I'll be the referee. And the owl's like, on your mark, get set, race. And they both just take off. And the turtle's like, just full turtle speed. There's just like dust laying there. The rabbit takes off running, and like dust like shooting out behind, like little spumes all over the place. And he runs so fast, he turns around, looks behind him, sees the turtle going, and he's like, that turtle's ridiculous. And what do you do when people are slower than you? Taunt them, of course. And so he decides to just lay down in the road and fall asleep and take a nap to taunt them. Instead of finishing, he decides to just make fun of the turtle. The turtle just keeps on doing his turtle thing. Running. And eventually, he keeps at it and eventually passes the rabbit who's sitting there sleeping, and because the turtle moves so slowly, he does not wake the rabbit, and he keeps on going past him until he's almost at the finish line. The rabbit wakes up, is like, oh my God, and then sees the fact that the turtle's getting ready to cross the finish line, and the rabbit's like, no, and then takes off running and spinning his little rabbit paws in the air, and goes diving for the finish line right as the turtle goes, and crosses it, and the turtle wins. And this is where you always finish with the moral, which is the thing that you're supposed to learn. And do you guys know what the moral of that was supposed to be? Slow and steady wins the race. The idea that you're supposed to take your time and not hurry through things.
Mr. Brovicast, how does that connect? Because it talked about making fun of slow people.
I have no idea. But that's apparently the moral of the whole thing, is that you're supposed to take your time and not rush through things and stuff like that. That's a traditional fable. It takes place in the woods. It has animals in it. We learn something from it. That's how a fable works. Zach.
Isn't it 3 points of what you learn? Like the first one you said is like never underestimate an opponent. Then don't taunt people.
You can have more than one moral. That definitely works. The next one we have is what's called a verse fable. V-E-R-S-E. Not verses, like when you're going to fight someone, like in a boxing match. That's a whole different thing. This is just verse, as in V-E-R-S-E. Those of you who are in band, choir, orchestra, might be familiar with what verse is. Do you guys know what a verse is? Baba, you were brave for a moment, and now the bravery's gone. It happens sometimes. Jake?
Section of notes.
It is a section, kind of. But you're getting
line.
close. Getting farther away. That's good try. You're going with it.
Part
of something. Lisa?
It's like a paragraph of a song.
It is a paragraph. And what do you call a paragraph that's all rhymey and has no music that goes to it? Nicely. It's written as a poem. So a verse fable is when you write it out as a poem. Tomorrow, I'll give you an example of a verse fable. And it'll be scary. Plus, we have something due tomorrow already.
Reading log.
Reading log, because I didn't make it due before. So you have, did you move my desk back? Nicely done. Then, see